Well, hello, I'm Josh, and I'm back once again with another movie to show you. Now, this week I'm going to keep it a little shorter as I have a lot of things planned for next month, and I'll have more on that at the end of this video, so stay tuned to find out. But this week I'm talking about the 1970 film The Out-of-Towners, starring Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis, and written by the famous playwright Neil Simon. And this is a comedy about a family from Ohio on their trip to New York City. So, for the backstory, the husband, George Kellerman, has become the top candidate for this big job promotion in his company to their headquarters in New York City. So, George and his wife Gwen go to New York for the big job interview. And George has everything planned out, from fancy dinners to a nice, elegant hotel for them to stay at. But as Murphy's Law goes, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it certainly does for the Kellermans. And most of the film is just following them on their many mishaps as they try to get to his interview on time. And George is a very impatient and kind of proud person that always wants to be in control of the situation. And so he has a lot of problems when he gets to the big city.
You got my name right?
Yes, sir. Kellerman.
Frank Kellerman. George Kellerman!
Meanwhile, Gwen is a much more quiet and patient and actually smarter person than George, though she is also too humble and reserved to point it out. And a lot of great comedic moments derive from this dynamic.
You people seem to have lost my bags.
A large brown one and a small gray
Yeah,
one.
well, you don't have to describe them, dear. We got the clean checks.
What do they look like?
A large brown one and a small gray one. Could you hurry, please? We've only got 20 minutes.
The film was directed by Arthur Hiller, who's best known for films such as The In-Laws and The Hospital. The Out-of-Towners is shot all on location and acts kind of as a time capsule of New York in the late 60s, early 70s, as they show many of the strikes and the protesting that was going on during the time. And one thing I really like about this film is the approach to the cinematography they take. The opening scenes in Ohio are shot very beautifully, with smooth dollies, cranes, and tripods. However, when they get to New York, it becomes this gritty documentary with a very shaky handheld look. And this is done to emphasize the change between the two worlds. The quiet suburban neighborhood they begin in and the big noisy city they end up in. And the music by Quincy Jones actually echoes the sentiment, starting with this kind of bubbly, poppy sound, but when they go to New York City, it becomes this very jazzy funk score that reminds me of a lot of the cop dramas that were coming out at the time. And Jack Lemmon is really great in this film. He has a very tough role to pull off, having all those negative character traits he had while still being likable and fun to watch. And an interesting story with this film, he actually almost died making it. There's the shot where a manhole cover was supposed to shoot up knee-high, maybe waist-high, and land down next to him. But too much pressure was put under the cover, and it ended up shooting out of frame and landing centimeters from Jack Lemmon's head.
George, get off! It's gonna blow up! Get off! You hear me? Just get off it!
Now moving on to Sandy Dennis, she also does a very good job in this film. She's mainly known for dramas such as Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, but she really shows some great comedic timing in this film.
You understand? My wife will verify that.
Well, then I can verify that.
And the rest of the cast is also excellent as well. Everyone is very realistic, and this really grounds the film, and I think it makes Jack Lemmon's outburst even funnier.
Why didn't you just say try lost and found instead of reading my claim check?
He's trying to help
He
you.
wasn't helping, he was just reading. What's your name?
Tito.
Yeah? Well, if you don't find him, I'm suing you people for losing my bags, missing the train. What kind of a way is this to run an airline?
The customer service especially does a very good job of not playing it up, not making it goofy as you usually see in films like this. And they actually try to provide a lot of help, though Jack Lemmon is too proud to see it.
They're checking out at 7 a.m. You can have that room at no charge.
7 o'clock. I won't be dry until 8. I wouldn't settle this for less than $1 million.
So that's The Out-of-Towners. If you'd like to watch this, it's available to rent or buy from all the major streaming sites, and physically, this is basically your only option. It's okay, as you can see the box art isn't too great, and it doesn't have any bonus features either, but it does play the movie and it doesn't cost too much, so that's your option there. There is a 1999 remake of it though, which is, interesting. I don't usually like to judge films on their Rotten Tomatoes scores, as Even this film has a pretty mediocre one. But with the remake, I think they got it right. I might talk about that one more later, as I think it does point out a lot of things that this one does get right. But as I mentioned earlier, I tried to cut this one down so I could prepare for next month's videos. And speaking of next month, so since next month is going to be October, I'm going to be showcasing all horror films. And one thing that's really cool is since I upload on Thursdays, if you look at the calendar, we have 5 Thursdays. That means 5 horror films I'll be recommending. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But now for the comment question. I'm wondering, what's your favorite Jack Lemmon role? He's done some very iconic roles. I'm thinking The Odd Couple, Some Like It Hot, stuff like that. But I think his lesser known characters, like in The Out of Towners, hold up just as well. So put your favorites down below and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next week to see what spooky movie I'll have for you then, and remember to keep watching movies. Alright, I'll see you next week.
I didn't see that train. Did you see that train?
I didn't see anything. I was running.
There goes the New York job.
Oh, George, you can call them in the morning and explain what happened on it.